Are you ready for some absolutely amazing Bethesda news? I'm sure they're doing something very cool, and I'm gonna be proud of them, and I'm gonna want to buy their nukes. No, obviously not. It's Bethesda. Whatever they're doing is underwhelming garbage. I'll just put it right there, right now. I do not believe that Bethesda has any way forward unless they fire Todd Howard, literally delete Emil Pagliarino from history itself and reality, because he's probably an interdimensional demon at this point, honestly, that's destroying everything, Elder Scrolls and Fallout related at this point. But in any case, speculations that are most likely 100% true aside, Bethesda has some news, and we all know it's going to be bad, so I'm here for it.
A lot of random things happening for Bethesda this past week in an otherwise pretty slow news week, in my opinion. We're going to talk about everything from Starfield and its upcoming Free Lanes update alongside Terran Armada.
Dude, no one actually cares. I covered the newest stuff about Starfield, the Terran Armada, whatever, and no one cared. I mean, everyone is so done about Bethesda at this point that not even hate is left, honestly. People are tired of even hating on me. Now, granted, your boy will never be tired of hating on Bethesda. It is a way of life, and I have chosen it, and I will live my life to the fullest with it. This is the #1 Bethesda hate channel on the internet for a very good reason. And I will never stop.
What to expect in that department, because Bethesda did drop new details on that, all the way to a Bethesda.
This is when this launches, this is gonna be like, what the hell is this? Is this because the perspectives are all wrong? Look at this. It feels like you're going past a pebble.
On that, all the way to...
and then you're like, oh, the big planet is dead, man. It's gonna take a while to get there.
To a Bethesda.
And then you actually get to the planet in like 5 seconds, and it looks small. People are gonna lose their S when they actually get to experience this. It is easily gonna be the newest new bad thing that Bethesda has done. I mean, to be this absolutely incompetent. And chances are Bethesda suffers from extreme levels of toxic positivity. You know, the fact that Todd is most likely supposed to be referred to as God Todd in Bethesda. And Emil is like the right hand of Jesus himself or something like that. No one can probably tell these people no. You know, someone says, right, this obviously stupid, unbelievably sad piece of shit looking thing that we just saw is great. Todd says it's great. And everyone's like, yeah, Todd, I love it. And everyone's afraid to say anything. Or the alternative is honestly the people there are also equally stupid and they actually think something like that is good. Like, the inter-system travel, 1, is going to be completely useless. And 2, it looks already bad.
The game shutting down. And then some interesting updates on a long-running Bethesda game. So yeah, we got a lot to dive into here today. If you're new here and you're into what's going on with Bethesda, you know what to do. Consider subscribing. First little item here that I wanted to dive into was actually how well Starfield is already doing on PlayStation 5. As of March 30th, 2026, we see here from Tweaktown that Starfield was the #1
PlayStation Store. Okay, what do we have here? Top 24 pre-orders. Okay, so we have Lego Batman. It's not a bad game, but no one really cares. We have 007 First Light, which is the saddest thing anyone has ever seen. And then we have Starfield Premium Edition and Starfield. Invincible, Diablo 3... Wait, what do you mean? Lord of Hatred is the current expansion. What was it, Vessel? I don't fucking remember. How is this even a thing? As of... Okay. Wait. What? There is 100% some kind of not understanding how statistics work here. As of March 30th, how long of a time period are we talking about? 1 day? Because this thing, I have a feeling this is the same thing as the Steam sales, that they track day by day or week by week how many people actually pre-order something. So this is just like not the actual thing, but it's like in a week there's nothing new, so Starfield is the first thing because it's technically the newest. So this is not actually, there's a lot of people interested in Starfield. Quite the opposite.
Pre-ordered game for the United States, beating out the likes of 007, Lego Batman, beating out Soros, Pragmata, Invincible Versus, like a ton of upcoming games. And Starfield is at the top of the food chain. I gotta admit, I'm a little bit surprised with all the
You're surprised because you're really bad at statistics and understanding how the world works, Maddie. That's why you're surprised.
kind of widespread criticism for this game that this was so readily pre-ordered, especially because keep in mind, this is the premium edition. It's not wildly expensive. It's a standard video game price at $70, but a lot has been said about Starfield and its current DLC rollout, which is just Shattered Space and a bunch of free updates. And Shattered Space is one of Bethesda's worst reviewed products. But this
Well, what do you mean? Free, a bunch of free updates. Most of those things that are free actually cost money.
is something I've talked about in the past, where I've said that a lot of people don't realize how much of a built-in loyalty Bethesda truly has with their audience, where people are still going to show up.
All of that is gone. All of that is gone. Starfield destroyed this. I covered this very thoroughly. Before Starfield came out, if you talk negatively about Starfield, 50% of that video would probably be typically negative, and it would be Starfield fanboys saying, "No, you don't understand what you're saying. Starfield's gonna be amazing." And after Starfield came out, literally the day it goddamn dropped, that 50% dislike ratio on every video from the super fans became something like 30. And after 3 days, it didn't exist. After 3 days, it was less than 10% dislike because everyone understood how fucking bad Starfield is. Starfield legit, like, we have talked about this numerous times. The reality is, Starfield did really kill Bethesda. Starfield was so unbelievably bad, so unbelievably disliked by everyone, that that the newest thing is like, okay, the Elder Scrolls 6 is coming. But do we actually want it? Because Bethesda's making it. After Starfield, people don't believe that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be good. People are at best hoping for mediocrity and trash.
Even for their more controversial games. That said, though, I think that's also taking away from a key point here, which is that Free Lanes does look good.
It doesn't.
As I mentioned in my preview, I'm a little bit undecided if it's going to be for me or not, but it doesn't look bad. It does look like it's trying to target a lot of the core issues with the game, and we'll kind of get into that here and now when talking about Terran Armada, because that aspect, when I went to the digital hands-off preview event for Starfield's upcoming DLC, I found that the Terran Armada details were a bit light, which was a little strange because, cool, we got a ton of details on this Free Lanes update, which is coming for free to everybody, but I wanted to know more about the thing that we were paying for. Terran Armada is coming in at $10, so my expectations have kind of been dialed down a little bit, but Bethesda did post on their Bethesda Net site what exactly is going on with Terran Armada, everything from the story to new events that are happening within Starfield, and it starts to kind of shape what I think the future of Starfield is, what you can kind of expect from Bethesda. So let's talk about it a little bit. Starting off with this story, they write, a new threat has entered the settled systems, believing themselves.
I love the fact that Terran Armada is like led by a black woman. That is so Bethesda.
To be the true children of Earth, the Terran Armada is made up of members of the United Colonies and Freestar Collective who vanished during the Colony War. The Terrans are an advanced military force largely comprised of robotic soldiers. The new quest line in Terran Armada is woven into the fabric of the settled systems. When the Terrans first arrive, their motivations are unclear, but the fate of the war against the Terran Armada will have consequences that ripple throughout the galaxy. Not all Terrans have it out for the settled systems. Along the way, you'll meet a new...
Yeah, this sounds like your typical Bethesda lie. Remember, they literally said that House Varun, Shattered Space, is gonna be a Far Harbor moment.
Companion named Delta, a reprogrammed Terran Armada bot. He's not evil, says Pagliarulo in the deep dive, but he's definitely not good.
Well, of course, nothing is evil. Evil is just a concept. Nothing is also good. That's exactly the type of garbage dribble I expect Emil to actually say and do. Oh, what if evil is not evil? What if good is not good? It's just shades of gray. Yeah, this is exactly the type of garbage dumpster diving fucking lore expectations I have for anything done by Emil.
And it sounds like the perfect addition to any morally gray captain's roster. I found this aspect a little bit interesting for two reasons. One, didn't know there was going to be a new companion, but I guess that should have been a safe assumption given the free lanes were introducing some new companions. But also that this questline is kind of tying back to the Colony War, which is a lot of the lore that predates the actual events in Starfield. So
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait.
So them unpacking that, this is something Tim Lamb talked about in the hands-off preview, where they said they have a lot of bits of lore that they want to pick at for Starfield. One for me is obviously the Starborn, the Unity, that sort of thing, and kind of where they can take that part of the story, because there were some, I'll just say without spoiling for anyone, some heavy indications on where they could take things there. But I like that they're picking at the Colony War stuff, because it does feel a bit unexplored, all things considered. Like, you have that museum that's on New Atlantis, and that was like a real highlight. I was like, okay, cool, this is awesome. But, you know, you kind of wish you could experience that. And so them kind of bringing in a faction that taps into the Colony War stuff, I think is kind of interesting. We'll see if the story delivers. Again, my expectations are pretty low for the story, just given the amount of time we're probably going to have with it. Like, I'm expecting Fallout 4's Automatron style.
Dude, no, jeez, that's so sad to hear.
Length, like 2 hours tops here, but we'll see. I'll take a great 2 hours if that's what Bethesda wants to continuously deliver on these like smaller clips. Next up here is they talk about incursions. This is something I did see, but now it's more described as a system. And through this, I want to talk about what I think you can expect for the future of Starfield. They write, the Terran Armada DLC also adds the new incursion system. These can occur almost anywhere in the settled systems and are both a key part of the DLC storyline as well as repeatable content with great loot to collect. You can see where the Terran incursion are on the star map, so the choice is yours to avoid them or take them head on. Think carefully before you jump in, as nearby Terran technology could prevent you from quickly jumping away. You'll need to get far enough away or shut down the incursion to successfully grav jump. Be aware, there are encounters out there that can make you pull out of cruise mode. Incursions range from small skirmishes to large-scale infiltrations of Terran vessels where the objectives can vary. Some are story required while others are optional and reward exploration, and you can tune how often non-story incursions appear through the gameplay options. Couple of things here. One, repeatable content comes up again. I think this is Bethesda's plan on filling out the gaps in Starfield. I talked about this a little bit on stream. I mentioned how I want more points of interest, but I also understand that I am basically asking Bethesda to add over 1,000 locations to a video game, like handcrafted locations, and that just
absolutely no problem. If that's what we want, that's what we want. It's your fucking fault the game wasn't like that from the beginning. I can demand it. I'm a consumer. I mean, if you don't want me to hate the game, then you better fucking add that shit. Very simple, very straightforward, not an unreasonable demand in the slightest.
If they couldn't do that for the launch product, they're not going to do it now when Starfield's player base is a lot lower and there's less money to be made. So I think the idea here is to fill in the gaps as often as possible with that repeatable content where there is something kind of pulling you somewhere each time you enter one of the various systems in Starfield, so you can find an incursion. Or again, attached to the free lane updates, you go to one of the various planets, you go through a cave, you find some X-Tech, and that X-Tech kind of leads into the entire brand new loot loop for Starfield. The new points of interest that they added weren't really detailed as much on this page. They just mentioned the free lanes update that they're just doing brand new points of interest, and that's really it. And I think those points of interest are just being added to a library of other randomly generated points of interest here. And I think that's how they're going to continue to expand Starfield here. It's just more and more repeatable content. But also, I like that they've added the ability to tune it. This is something that Bethesda has seemingly wavered on a little bit, because what they talked about a lot in the past is, hey, if we put you on an ice ball and there's too much established life here, then it feels like you didn't discover something. It feels like it takes you out of that simulation. It looks like they're now moving into that modular gameplay option.
That's coming from the same people who literally made it when you find a starboard power thingamajiggy. There's literally a mining colony right next to it. That comes from the same people.
Section here where you can kind of tweak your experience in different ways. Originally, as it stood, it was about damage output, damage received in your ship, on foot, that sort of stuff. Do you need to eat? Do you need to rest? That kind of stuff. But now it's expanding to frequency of encounters. And we'll have to play this incursion system to learn a little bit more. But I did find it interesting that it's something you can tune, and it might indicate where Starfield is going in the future with how you can tune other encounters. Still, the incursion event that we saw during the preview event was story-based. I didn't know this.
You know what I love about the fact that the robots don't even have unique death animations? They just have human death animations.
Repeatable things. That's interesting to learn. One thing I did talk about in my preview was that pre-built outposts were being added to Starfield. I was a little surprised to see that this is actually part of the paid DLC. I thought this would be a part of the free lanes update, but it seems like it's not. They just said, we know you love building outposts, but sometimes it's nice to have a quick and easy place to drop down where you can lay your head. Terran Armada introduces a ready-to-go, fully decorated, elevated cabin module for you to drop on a planet of your choice. Though it does come furnished and decorated with a ton of new items, you can make whatever changes you want to the interior once it's built. So all in all, that's kind of the new updates when it comes to Terran Armada. Some of this was talked about in Bethesda's Deep Dive. Some of it was scattered across our digital hands-off preview event. I felt I learned a little bit about Terran Armada and just wanted to talk to you a bit about it because, again, it kind of gave me a little bit of clarity on where I think Bethesda is going in the future and some tweaks that they're adding to Starfield. Next up on the docket here, remember Elder Scrolls Blades? I reviewed this game twice, right? Because I wanted to give it a fair shake. I understand Bethesda saw the green when it came to Fallout Shelter, which is like their highest grossing game ever, and thought to themselves, hey, that other franchise that is just as popular, Elder Scrolls, can we get a mobile success on that front? And it's so funny because I remember just saying Bethesda needs to make basically Fallout Shelter, but for Elder Scrolls again. And what they ended up doing was Blades. Now, there was a couple of things that worked against Blades beyond it just being
God, I remember seeing this once and I'm like, oh my God, holy mother of slop. You have descended upon us.
Being a mobile game with a ton of time gates when I played it both times where it was just constantly asking you for money. It was also that at this point, you thought the wait was...
You're playing a Bethesda game on mobile. Of course it's going to ask you for your money. It's going to also ask for your inheritance. And it should, because you're stupid enough to play an Elder Scrolls Online mobile game. Like, fuck me. It should ask for your money. You don't deserve it in the first place if you're playing this.
Long for Elder Scrolls 6, right? Because I believe this was introduced in 2018. I know this because...
You know what Bethesda should do? They should make Starfield mobile. Okay, a mobile version of Starfield. You know, make it like this, or make it like Shelter. It would be the exact level of mega slop. That the 5 mega Bethesda fanboys would probably force their granny to give them their inheritance early.
I'm missing my dude Camel Works every day. I remember being at E3 though, and him telling me he got an Instagram DM, and someone was saying, oh, Bethesda's doing this free-to-play mobile RPG called Elder Scrolls Blades. And I distinctly remember when we were in our hotel room talking about this, we fucking laughed at it. We were like, there's no way they do that. Because at that point, we didn't know about Elder Scrolls 6, which was also revealed at this same show. But one of the things that worked against Blades was knowing that ES6 was so far away and that Bethesda was using as a fill-in once more was the combination of ESO, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, and I love ESO, but also...
I can't. This is literally NPC shit. This is little golem tier entertainment. I can't. If you have fun doing this, there's something wrong with you. Deeply troubling.
Elder Scrolls Blades. Like, people just wanted a traditional Elder Scrolls game and they were just being fed mobile stuff. That was before we actually got to play Elder Scrolls Blades, and we realized that, again, they were trying to farm gems out of you constantly. I bring all this up because we just learned that Elder Scrolls Blades servers will shut down permanently June 30th, this year.
Oh, thank God. That means it. Oh, thank God. Because, listen, Fallout Shelter, I have not played it, but I see the appeal of something like that. Because that actually seems like at least somewhat of an almost game. That does seem something that, you're bored. You're having diarrhea because you don't eat enough fiber because, obviously the ribs are 50% off in your local supermarket. You bought 10 packs. Not speaking from experience, obviously. Obviously not. I would never. Obviously not. Yeah, I did that. I literally did that. Anyway, and but I did not do the mobile part. Okay, I am fully never downloading any games on my telephone. The closest thing I had to a game, which I could download now because I don't see anything wrong with it, is something like Sudoku. Stuff like Sudoku is a good type of game to have on mobile while you're doing it. I would obviously prefer reading a book on fucking mobile device, not playing it. But at least I see the appeal in something like Shelter. Okay? At least there is an appeal on that. Everything, but anything else just seems bad.
And this is what's so funny about these kind of games that are either live service or they're free to play. They make them palatable once they're dead. So now they say all the items in the store will be available for 1 gem or 1 sigil each. And it reminds me of like what Avengers did when everyone suddenly started to change their opinion on Avengers because they got to play the actual game itself and not everything was loaded with premium content that was overpriced. The thing that Elder Scrolls Blades just never understood was why Shelter was successful. Fallout Shelter was successful for 2 core reasons. One,
okay, whatever Maddie says is probably untrue. Second of all, Bethesda doesn't understand anything they do.
One was the timing, right? Bethesda had Fallout 4 5 months away at that point, and they said, we know you've been waiting a while for this, so here's a little something different to tide you over. It turns out to be peak, and it turns out to be a lot of fun. More importantly, was number 2, you got to just play.
Also, I'm not gonna lie, just looking at these small animations, this has more care and effort put into it than Starfield itself.
Game, right? There were certain things that were time gated
Except
and whatnot,
that.
no doubt about it, but it was like a fair thing where you didn't have to give it money. And in turn, guess what I did? I bought a bunch of lunch boxes. I gave that thing a lot of money because I love the game. I couldn't believe I was just having fun for free like that. Combine that with the Fallout hype, I'm sure a lot of you related to my situation there.
Okay, this is why we never actually take Mr. Maddie seriously. Because he's unironically gonna say shit like, oh, I had fun in this thing for free, so I'm gonna give it money anyway. Bro, the ultimate fucking consumer.
Elder Scrolls Blades is like, here you go, give us money. I just think of that. Mr. Krabs like, hi, I like money. That's what I was thinking of a little bit here with Elder Scrolls Blades. They just didn't understand the ways I think Fallout Shelter got to its success. And then when they decided, okay, let's do Elder Scrolls Castles instead. Like, here we go. Here's Fallout Shelter. But for Elder Scrolls, people are like, we don't care now, dude. We just, even more now, we just want Elder Scrolls 6. This is what you're giving us. And fortunately, Oblivion Remaster ends up being a thing where it's like, okay, they did something finally that people wanted since Skyrim. I digress. Elder Scrolls Blades going offline. Rest in peace.
Oh, this is online.
Last thing I want to dive into, sticking with Elder Scrolls a little bit here, is actually Elder Scrolls Online. So they're doing something a little bit new here called Seasons, where they're doing these content drops every couple of months, and they've broken down what content is on the way. And I gotta say, a lot of what they're showing here, I mean, I feel
like a road map, maybe. Would it be like a road? It's a road map.
Fully admit, I love ESO. You know, I'm not like a daily player, even a monthly player. Like I hop in, I grind it for a while, and then I hop out.
Yes, I also love things I never play.
But I love that game for it. I love that I can play it.
But he did buy the deluxe edition starter pack.
Like a traditional Elder Scrolls game in so many ways. Like it just, is so focused, I think, on how to appeal to the broad audience who just wants to play a new MMO, but it also feels like it appeals very specifically to me and my taste. So I'm very grateful for this MMO. So they're trying something a little bit new here, where they're doing things in seasons, and they're bringing things like the Thieves Guild back. They're bringing us to a new region in Skyrim that Elder Scrolls Online hasn't visited before. They're doing a ton of quality life improvements to reduce grind, friction, like faster mount training, skill respecking, bag upgrades, furnishing.
Yeah. I mean, they are desperate. The last time we checked it, Elder Scrolls Online was going down. And that's, by the way, Elder Scrolls Online was going up for the longest time. It was slowly but steadily very noticeable. It had enough players to, it's not World of Warcraft, it's not Runescape. It's none of those things, but it was below them, invisibility range. Elder Scrolls Online actually was making changes that people seemingly liked, even though I disagreed with a lot of them, all of them. They were still doing changes that people seemingly at least appreciated, and then they just decided to remove classes because reasons, and boop, that's it. That's it. So now they're probably extremely desperate to get people back, and spoiler, that's probably not going to work out. Anyway, that was Mr. Matty Plays 10 out of 10. Bye.